Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today we're back on with this. If you haven't watched my videos on this, this is an Apricot XEN-S I picked up, I think, a few years ago now. When I got this, it had quite severe battery leakage, and it had to do quite a lot of work on the main board to actually get the thing to even fire up, and then even more work to get the real-time clock working and everything. Basically got this computer into a reasonable working state. I put a SCSI card in it and a SCSI hard drive, because this has still got its original like 32 megabyte RLL, I think it's an RLL rather than an MFM, hard drive and controller in it, and I wanted something a little bit bigger. So I put a SCSI card and drive in it. The only thing I could never get to work was the floppy drive, and I tried all sorts trying to mess about getting that floppy drive to work without any real success. It's actually, someone's just commented on some of the original videos that I did on this and pointed out that the Apricots, they don't work quite the same way as a standard PC with the floppy drive. They're very much like the Amstrad CPCs, as in they actually adhere to the Shugart standard, rather than like IBM that basically used the Shugart standard and then flipped a few of the wires over to make the A and B drive work. This, the drive should be addressed as drive 0. That's probably the reason why when I was trying PC drives in this, none of them would work and that drive wouldn't work, because obviously a standard PC drive, whether it's 5 1/4 or 3.5 inch, is addressed on the drive as drive 1, and then obviously it uses the twist in the cable on an IBM to designate between drive A and drive B, or drive 0 and drive 1. So there's a chance that it's just that floppy drive's actually faulty, and if we can get the floppy drive working, plug it all back in again, it might actually work. What I'm also thinking of, if I can't get that drive working, I'm sure I've got some old PC floppy drives which have actually got the selector on them that we can set to drive 0, and one of them might work in it. So that's what I thought we'd have a go at. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pull this drive out of here and see if we can find anything that's actually wrong with that drive. It might even be the fact that we can set it to drive 1 on this drive and then try it in one of my other PCs and see if we can get it to read there. That would actually prove that the drive is functioning. Then obviously set it back to drive 0 and hopefully that should work. So first things first, let's get this drive, because this is, I think if I'm correct, this is the original drive that came with this system. Now, I haven't touched this computer in quite a long time. It's just been on a back burner like. But I would like to get this one fully working, really. It would be nice to have this fully working. Right. We can pop the case off. Now we've got the original. I haven't actually left the SCSI drive in here, that's the point. But we've got the original hard drive down there. Ooh, spin this round. I'll lift that up. Oh, I have got the hard drive in it. It's just the SCSI card that I've removed. So there's the SCSI hard drive that I put in there. And I'm hoping that this is the original drive. I think it's, yes, it definitely is, because the front is very slightly different on the Apricot drives. Let's see if I can find another standard PC floppy drive in one of my drawers. I bet I can't get to one right now, but I've just found the SCSI card. It's in this drawer down there. But let me see if I can spot one about. But essentially the only real difference is that the front there is slightly deeper on the Apricot drive. So yeah, that is the original drive from this system. So I'll get all the rest out of the way and we will have a bit of a tear down on this. We might even find perhaps some bad capacitors or something like that in here, and that's going to be what our issue is. So let me get this all tidied up, and like I said, we'll get down and we'll have a look at this floppy drive. So back in a sec. Right, okay, there we go. We're down to the drive itself. So let's get this bracket off. And I've just spotted, I think this does have a selector switch on it for drive select. Most really early drives did. It's not until you got to the later drives, which would definitely only ever be used on a PC, where they just basically hardwired them well to drive select 1. Right, so we've got a Sony drive. Actually looks in fairly nice condition. Let's take this top cover off and we can have a quick squiz in there. In fact, what I want to look at is see if there's anything on this board here which is to do with alignment, that if I take this board off I'm going to have to like mark exactly where all the fixings are, because on some drives you actually align the drive by moving one of the PCBs. These holes are actually slotted. I don't think that's the case on this drive actually. See what else I've got and get in there with. That might do. Right, let's have a look. It does look very dusty and dirty in here. We've got the heads going down onto that board there. Well, I'm trying to see if there's any capacitors that look like they could have possibly leaked and caused our issues, but I can't see anything right at the moment. I think we are actually going to have to take that board off and have a jolly good look at it. So let's get something we can pop them connectors off with. I might as well just do it with my fingers. There we go, that's one off. We have to be super careful with these cables because those are so easy to break. We've then got a connector there. Again, we need to gently pry that out. Let's see if we can get it. There we go, that's out. And we've got another connector at the back here for the stepper motor. Again, I think we might do the same with that. Nearly. So the problem is that some of these connectors are starting to get a little bit on the fragile side. You don't want to just yank up on the wires because you risk breaking it. Right, that's out, that's out. So we've got the heads disconnected, we've got that limit switch there disconnected, we've got the stepper motor disconnected. Let's flip it over. Now these two boards are connected by a ribbon there, but at least if we can just flip it up like that, and like I said, we can inspect the capacitors that are on there. Okay, let's have a look. Now we've only got one capacitor which I'd expect to cause problems here, which, well, not even expect to cause problems, that could cause an issue, which is that one there. What I have just spotted is that set to drive select 1 rather than drive select 0. I wonder if we just pull that capacitor out. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just have a little smell around it, see if it's been leaking. But I can't see anything else on there. I can't actually see any corrosion or anything on the board. It actually looks really quite good. Oh, something been... that could just be old flux residue actually around there. Let's get the old soldering iron. And all we're going to do, we'll clean the tip off so we don't leave any crap on the board. And we'll just have a little play around the no, there's no smell coming off that. No, I don't think that capacitor's leaked. So we'll put this back together. We'll have a bit of a clean, clean the heads, clean all the mechanism, clean everything in the drive. And you're seeing this does seem to have a selector switch for the drive select, which basically is this here. I've got a switch here and it's marked 0, 1, I think that's 2 and 3. And it's currently set to the 1 mark. If I move it over, that's 0, 1, 2, 3. Because the standard, is it Stuttgart? Stuttgart standard is for actually 4 drives. I mean, that standard dates back to the, well before the IBM PC. It comes from the 70s, I think. And IBM basically used it for the PC, but just like I said, did it slightly their own way, so it's not exactly like the standard. No, we haven't lifted that board up there, but so what I'm tempted to do is just get my get some IPA and a Q-tip and have a bit of a clean up round here. Clean. In fact, that feels solid. I can't seem to be able to move the. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that was quite stiff there. I wonder if that had seized up and it weren't actually allowing the head to move. And get all these connectors plugged back in so we don't risk damaging anything. Okay. Oh, we've got to plug the stepper motor back in, or else we're not going to get anywhere, are we? So let's connect that back up. Right. That's everything connected back together. We'll get the old Q-tips then. And we'll get some IPA. We'll have to retract them heads again, or else I'm never going to get into clean them. That doesn't look too terrible. Everything's moving. It It just felt a little bit stiff when we just first started. Right. We'll lift that up. You've got to be super careful doing this. Let's go and see how dirty them heads are. A little bit of muck coming off that. Not much coming off the top. So a tiny little bit of muck's come off that head, but not a huge amount. Give them a quick dry as well. Right. While we're in here, we'll see if we just get rid of some of the muck and rubbish which has picked up in the drive over the years. It's actually not that dirty in here. It's cleaner than I was expecting it to be. So I don't really think this is the main issue. It could be that there is a fault on the other board. Bear in mind that's the motor drive board. Dear me, well, ugh. That could be where the issue lies. Like I said, what we'll do, we'll have a bit of a clean up here. And I will put a little bit of fresh grease on the worm drive there. We'll give that a quick clean up, and then we'll put some fresh grease on that. Put it back together. Now we'll grab a PC and we'll see if we can get this to read in a PC, seeing as we can definitely select the drive select on it. There's something down there. Let me see if we can get a pair of tweezers or something. Got a pick here, I wonder if I can get it with that. Some fluffer muck and rubbish down there. There we go, got it. That's better. Let's see if we can move that along a bit. Right. So there is some muck and rubbish in that drive there, in that worm drive, so probably a little bit of hardened grease. Right, there we go, that's all that off there. Let me find my grease. There we go, I've got a little bit of fresh grease on here. We'll re-grease that worm drive and then there's no chance of that being the issue. There we go, that's enough. Don't need very much, just enough that when it moves backwards and forwards it takes it and completely lubricates that. We get a old floppy disk I can just stick in there and we'll see how the mechanism moves. I've got a old floppy I don't think it's any good here. Feels a bit, well, it's not too bad. I'll try cleaning around here. Really the whole drive does need stripping down, getting all the rest of this muck and grease out, but at the moment I just want to see if I can get it to read. if I can, then obviously we can take it a bit further and really clean this properly. But it doesn't feel gummed up enough to really be stopping it. It's a bit dusty, but it's not like some drives I've come to where everything is seized up on them. It's just got a bit of filth in it. There's quite a lot down there actually. And of course these switches could be bad. So it's not recognising when there's a disc in the drive. That's another possibility. There we go. Right, what I'll do, I will get this reassembled. I will grab one of my other PCs. We'll make sure this is set to floppy drive 1 on the selector switch there, which means it should work as a standard PC floppy drive, and if it does and we can actually read a disc with it on a standard PC, we can try this back in the Apricot. I'm still not 100% convinced this is the issue. I think there is something else the issue, but it's worth giving it a try, and we can definitely confirm that this floppy drive works, and we can definitely know we can set this to drive select 0, so it should definitely work on the Apricot. So anyway, I'll get the other PC out and get set up, and we'll come right back. Right, okay, we're back, and I've just grabbed my trusty old compact 486 here. Make a good system to actually do this with. I've just actually booted it up and tried the disc, make sure it could read this disc, so we know we've got a known good disc that definitely works. So what I will do, I'll power the compact down. We'll grab the Apricot drive, and as you remember I said, I've set this to drive select 1 on the drive, so that should behave like a PC drive now. We'll disconnect the power from the original compact drive. We'll plug this in. There we go. We'll put that on there, make sure, in fact we'll need something underneath that so it's not going to short. I'll tell you what, I will take the probes out of my scope probe bag here, and we can use that because that's plastic and insulated, because we don't want the bottom of that shorting onto the that would be bad. In fact, here we've got the instruction manual from my scope probes. That should be good enough. Yeah, that should stop anything we don't want shorting out. There we go, just the right size actually. So what we can do is power the computer back up. In fact, I'll get you up on the screen so you can see what the screen's doing. That's probably more important, isn't it? We'll just skip the RAM because it has got rather a ridiculous amount of RAM for 486 this. Right, well we've got the light. I know you wouldn't have seen that because you was looking at the screen, but the light on the floppy drive flashed the way it should do. It's just tried seeking the floppy drive. And this should now just boot into DOS. Right, okay. So, that's booted into DOS. I'll take that disk, put that in the drive. Let's try A:, enter. I'll get you up on the drive. And that has come up with A. Let's try DIR. That drive's working. Lovely. We definitely know that that drive is working. That is booted up lovely on this. Like I said, I've set the drive to drive select 1 rather than drive select 0, which it should be for the Apricot. And we can definitely see that that is working. What I'll do is I'll do a Control-Alt-Delete, and we will just see whether it can actually boot from this floppy disk. And keep your fingers crossed, and let's see if this is going to boot from this floppy. Let's see. It should start coming up, starting MS-DOS now. It's definitely reading from the disk. I can hear the disk accessing. There we go. Looking a little bit faint on the screen for some reason. I think that might be the cable coming out of the monitor. But that is definitely working. I'm going to do a DIR. Yeah, that's definitely working. Excellent. Right, so we've proved that that floppy drive, which is the original one out of the Apricot, does actually work. We'll switch that off. Get that out of there, get that out of there. Get you back down on what we're actually looking at. Right, so we know that this floppy definitely works. And this is definitely the original floppy out of the Apricot. We can tell that by the fact that the front of it is longer. It's actually deeper than a standard PC floppy drive by a little bit, by about 3 or 4 millimeters at the bottom there. It's a little bit that sticks down. So we know this is the correct drive for the computer. All we need to do now is set that back to drive select 0 rather than 1, like that. I will get this cleared away. We'll get the Apricot back out. We'll get this connected up in the Apricot and we'll just see whether it's going to boot. The thing is, we might have to reset that SCSI hard drive up so we can get to the BIOS setup and see if we can reconfigure it, because I don't know what is going to be configured in the BIOS, whether it's actually going to try and boot off the floppy drive, but we'll come to that when we do. So back in a sec. Right, okay, we're back. I've got the computer basically pulled all apart here. I've got power in it, I've got VJ in it, and I've got a keyboard connected, but that's it. I've got nothing else connected to it. We've got the floppy drive we've just confirmed definitely works. Just double check, we can definitely see I've got that set to drive select 0. We've got a cable coming off there without any twist in it, so that should be right for the Shugart standard. And this should be set, like I said, as the drive 0. So we'll plug that in. We will connect power up to it. Right, we can kind of just like balance that on there. That should be okay, that shouldn't be shorted out on anything. I've got the monitor connected up. I've got that disc that I've just tried that we just booted the Compact 486 with. That's a 1.4 meg floppy. There could be a chance that this is going to default to 720k, being that I don't know what state the BIOS is in at the moment or anything. So I have got, I think if I look here, I've got a DOS 5 boot disk on a 720k, so we can also try that. I will, right, we'll power up. I've got a beep from the computer, and it's come up on the screen, so the screen is working. Shame I can't show you both in the same shot, but... And it instantly comes up with a disk drive 0 seek failure. Said invalid confirmation information, please run setup program, strike the F1 key. Let's hit the F1 key. And again, we're back to the exactly as it was before, no boot device. But I have got that drive, how it should be, I'm guessing how it should be, configured. Let's just put a disc in and see whether it'll do anything. It spins the disc, but again, diskette drive 0 seek failure. And now we know that this drive that we're using is definitely the Apricot drive. It's definitely set to drive select 0. In fact, let's set it to drive select 1, just to rule out that there isn't something really weird with the Apricots. In fact, let me switch it off before I do that. We had that set to drive select 1 when we had it in the Compact 486. It should not work in that configuration in here. Let's switch on. and it's right. Okay, let's try the disk in. No, it didn't come up with an error. But no, exactly the same. Exactly the same. We get up on the screen there, and I will reboot it. I'll set this so you can see what's happening on screen as well. I'll switch off, and I will set that to drive select 0 again. I'll put the 720K disc, so if it's not set as a 1.44 drive, it should work as a 720, just as like a default, because the BIOS setup on it is not actually in the BIOS. It's on it's like the old IBMs. You need a setup configuration disk to actually set it up. So let's we'll switch on now. So I've got that now set to 0. So if this was using the proper Sugar standard, that should be drive 1. We'll fire it up. You can see we get the screen up. It'll count the memory up. And there you go. Disk drive 0, seek failure. I'll shut off. And I reset that to drive select 1, which is how we had it set when it worked in the Compact 486. And I'll switch on now. It seeks the drive. No boot device available, strike F1. So let's put the disk in. Let's hit the F1 key. You can hear it spin the disk up, but again, it's exactly the same. So I do think there is an issue on the main board. I don't think it's a floppy drive issue. But it is weird that it will only work when I've got the drive set to drive select 1. And if it was using the Sugar standard, then it should work with the disk set to drive select 0. As in, because we don't have the twist in the cable. So it's really, really, really odd. It's literally the only thing I can think now, is that we definitely have something wrong on the actual main board. Or it is some kind of weird security issue. I know that these could have like a security key and things like that with them. I don't know whether that's the problem or not. And the biggest problem is I cannot really find any technical data on this. If I could find schematics for the main board, it would be brilliant. As you know, we'd be able to trace it through, find out where the issue is, actually use some test equipment to see what's going on. The only thing I can really think of is see if I can like pull up the data for the individual chips. I mean, it's used as a chipset in this. Conceivable I might be able to find the data on them, find out which one is actually to do with the floppy controller, and actually see what we've got coming out from that and see whether that's the issue. I mean, I suppose one thing we could do is like have a look at what signals we've got actually on the floppy drive connector there, see if there's anything missing that we should be expecting. But I don't think it's an issue with the floppy drive I'm using. This is definitely the correct floppy drive for this computer. Like I said, you can tell that by the front's actually different to a standard PC floppy drive. And it's definitely got a drive selector on it like that, so it's not, you know, that someone swapped in an old PC drive and just swapped the fronts over or anything. And the weird thing is, like I said, this won't work with the computer set to drive select 0. It instantly comes up with an error on screen. It will only go through with it set to drive select 1, which is the same as you would have on a standard PC. But with that set on a standard PC with a flat cable without a twist in it, that should be showing up as drive B, which obviously it's not. So we are literally in the same position we are when I started working on this last time. I'm going to leave it there for now. This was just a quick check over from what that chap had just posted on some of my previous videos, saying you've probably got the wrong floppy drive. It needs to be, you know, a floppy drive that that complies with the Shugart standard. We have, this is that floppy drive. It's the original floppy drive from the system. We've got the original cable there without the twist in it. But I say, if it does apply to that standard, that should be on drive select 0, not drive select 1. Because if that's set on drive select 1 on the standard Shugart standard, that should be showing up as drive B, and it's not. It's trying to boot it. It's seeking and everything. It's just will not actually go in to do the boot. So yeah, that's where we are now. So I'm going to leave it there for now. If you've got any ideas, or even better, if you know where I can get some technical service data for one of these apricots, leave a comment down below, and we'll see if we can crack on with this. I really want to get this computer fully working. Like I say, I really like all the apricot stuff. It was just something a bit more British than everything else. You know, it had its quirks and things like that. I would love to get this fully working. The other thing I was kind of considering doing is see if I can find a different BIOS. We could try in this, either a diagnostics BIOS or just a BIOS that's compatible with this board that actually gets a proper setup program and things like that. See if we can get in doing it that way. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this tiny little update on the project. So I'm going to leave this on my bench for the next day or two and have a little bit more of a fiddle and a tinker with it, you know, off camera, so to speak, and see if I can actually come up with something. But in the meantime, like I said, if anyone fancies leaving some comments down there to think anything I'm doing wrong, anything that else I should try, please let me know. So hope you enjoyed that little look back at this apricot, and I'll say thanks for watching and goodbye.